Hi, I'm Dan from Real Mac Software and welcome back to episode 3 of the RapidWeaver Elements Developer Diary. Now this week we're going to be looking at border width and border radius. Now that might sound pretty mundane, but it's actually very cool because these things can be controlled globally and applied to many objects and elements on your page. Last week we looked at the shadows in the Theme Studio, and that works in a similar way. So let's dive in and see how this looks. So I've got the site set up that I had last week, and I've got some buttons on the page and a couple more this time. So you can see we've got the shadows on these ones, and this button here and this one set up with some of the new controls on them, so I can demo them. So here you'll notice this has a border, and actually all of them have border radiuses. Now we can control that by going to the Theme Studio, and this is the same as we've talked about this in previous videos, and we've gone through these, how you can globally control colors, screens, font family, font style, spacing, shadows, border widths, and now border radiuses. So my border radius, I have these custom classes set up to allow me to apply different border radiuses to different objects, and I can create as many of these classes as I like, and I can just delete them, or we can override the defaults. These are default settings that are part of the theme. They're not finalized, but you'll be able to override these, if you want to change the style of the theme. But I've created two custom classes here. I've got a square border width and a smooth border width radius, sorry. And you'll know it says width at the top. That should say radius. That's what threw me then. But this is software is in development, so this is literally what we've been doing the past week, and some of it isn't polished yet, isn't finished. So there we are. And we've got the border width here, and I've set up a slim border width at 2 pixels. So how do we apply those? Well, if I highlight this button here, you can see we've got the normal state. So this is the normal state of the button, and further down we've got the hover state. So under normal, I've got my corner radiuses, and I can select what I want on each one. So at the moment we've got it set up as smooth, and that is our custom class here, which is set up to 16 pixels. So I can change this, and we could pick square. And you'll notice on this lower left-hand edge here, it's gone to, it's showing square. So we can control these independently. Let's put that back to smooth, and I'll go square on here. So we can do some nice effects here, and some very custom buttons with this kind of effect. Now we are missing a link option here, so you can link them all up together and they'll change, but we'll add that. Like I said, this is in development, so this is kind of just a snapshot of where we are right now. So let's set those all back to smooth. And then we can control the width of the border as well. And I can do that here. So you can see the top border's at 4, then I can make the bottom 8, and I can go to 4 there. So you can see this is, you can have a lot of fun with this. Again, once you start combining all these custom options, you can start making your site feel a lot more custom and make it not look like everything else. But let's put that back to slim, because that's my global class I've set up. And again, we'll have a way to link all of these. We just haven't added that feature in yet, because it's a lot like the padding. We have a way to link padding on here, so they're all linked together. We just need to add that feature in there. So that'll be, we might have that in by next week, and then I can show you what we've done there. So anyway, let's take a look and customize this button here. So I want this to be an outline button, and I want to change the color on it. So what I'm going to do, we're going to switch this over to smooth. So this is our the border radius to smooth, and I need to do this on both the standard and the hover. So I'm going to go down here because this is the hover, and I'm going to switch that to smooth as well. So now we've got smooth on both in and out, on the hover and standard, and then I want to add a border to this. At the moment it's on custom, so I can just manually change these if I want to, which is quite cool if you've got you know, if you're doing a one-off object, but generally you're going to want to do this globally. So let's well, it doesn't matter, we can just, I don't need to reset that. What we'll do is we'll hit this little button here, and this switches it to use the theme settings. So I've got it switched to slim on all of these. Let me just re-pick that, as it hasn't picked up our changes. There we are. So I've got the slim setting on there, and I just need to do that on our rollover as well. There we are. And I'm going to change the color. Let's get rid of this on the normal state. So the background, there we are, there's the background. And I could change the opacity. So we could just make that very faint, or let's go with 0. And we're going to need to change the text color there because you can't see it. So let's go primary to give it a bit of a tint. And there we are. So we'll make that a brown color. And now when you hover into that, it fills in. So that's quite nice. So we've got these things set up here. So now this is where the magic comes in, where we can go to the theme studio and change settings there, and all our settings change. So let's go to border radius. So everything is set up with the smooth custom class. But, you know, perhaps I'm building this for a client and the client has said, actually, we don't want smooth buttons, or we want them to be super smooth. I'd like to see those options. So rather than having to go through and change each one individually, we can just change the class in here. So there we are. As I change that, all the buttons have updated to be smooth, and I could bring that right down and make them square like that. So this is really nice, just a way of working. You know, so they may have said, yeah, we want the buttons square, and the square buttons that are there, we actually want them to have a thicker border. And again, we can do that because we've set it up with the slim class. You can see there, both buttons now have a really chunky border. Now the client's probably not going to want a border that thick, so we can bring that in and we can easily change this, you know. And if this was a website with 10, 20, 100 pages, these settings would apply to everything, all my buttons across my entire site, which makes this really powerful and really easy to kind of customize your whole site, just to change it, you know, because sometimes you've had a site for a while and you want to tweak it and styles change, and this makes it incredibly easy. So I'm going to go back to make my buttons smooth, and we can go over, let's preview that. And it's nicer to preview it because then you don't get the bounding boxes here. So you can see we've got our buttons last week we set up with the nice little drop shadows, and then we've got these ones which are outlines and then infilled, and the same here. So that's really nice. And the last thing, again, I know we're very much focused on fixing and polishing up and finishing this theme studio. Because we think it's a really big feature for RapidWeaver Elements, because it really does allow you to just change the look of the site so easily and tweak all those things. It really is impressive. So here's the colors here, and you know, I'm using the orange color everywhere, and here I can just change that. And you know, the client might say, well, I want blue, and now all these settings, even the rollover, it's now blue. And it's so quick to change this stuff. So there we go, we can get a purple. I don't think they would want purple really for a travel site. It's not very travel-y, but the blue's quite nice. And obviously the orange, or they might, you know, want to change the shade. So this stuff, really fun to play with. So there we go, changed it to blue, and that is looking really good. And, you know, like a different site to what it was. Let's just, you know, so we changed it to blue, made the button square, and now we've got a really different feel for the site. And that is the power of the Theme Studio in RapidWeaver Elements. So I hope you've enjoyed this quick look at what we've been working on this week. And as always, I will be back next week to show you what we've been working on. Do leave a comment down below what you think about this. If you've got any suggestions or things you'd like to see or feedback on this, do you like this? Is there anything we could improve upon? let us know in the comments on the community or on YouTube. And if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do that, because it really helps, and you'll get to see the videos before anyone else as well. So, all right, thanks for watching this, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers, bye.